to welcome you. It's kind of like Southwest Airlines. We know you have a lot of choices, but thank you for flying with us today on this 4th day. We really appreciate it. So you are at Tearing Down Walls, Building Bridges, ESL 749, a Title I school's journey to increase family and community engagement. Warning, this session will be interactive, not so much with the reading that you just did. That was kind of more of a lone activity. But we are going to be doing a lot of stuff. We're going to be talking a lot. We're going to be sharing. We are always very vulnerable with what we share, and we hope that you guys trust in place. There's no evaluators here. You're all good. There's no shame. There's no blame. So we hope that everyone shares out as well, just as much. We promise we're going to be sharing with you, because that's how we grow. There will be prizes for participation. So cash prizes, actually. Yes, cash prizes. There will be dancing, music, and you will be asked to interact with others. Is that okay? Excellent. So just before we start telling our story a little bit about ourselves, how did you guys feel about the red carpet? Loved it. It was funny because some people, like, I was watching them, because I have an interest in like sociology and people, and one young lady, I won't say who it was, saw the red carpet and was like, I'm not walking on that thing. What does that do? And then some people were like, this guy over here was just like working. It was awesome, I liked it. So so the red carpet, we're going to talk about what that's about a little bit, but I hope that made your morning just a little bit special. I think we should have a red carpet at our schools every day, shouldn't we? Right? So let's talk a little bit about Minnieville. Who are we, our school, our community? So my name is Nathaniel Provencio. I've been the proud principal of this amazing school since 2010. We have Deb and I, my partner in crime, the peaches to my herb, the salt to my pepper, the yin to my yang, all that good stuff. She and I are partners. We've been partners in this crime since that time, and absolutely love Deb Ellis, and couldn't say enough about her. But we've been on this journey for a long time. Most principals only last about 5 years, so we beat the odds right over there. So we're approximately 530 amazing students from literally all over the world. Of those 530 students, as of Friday, we were at 80% economically disadvantaged and about 70 to 75% second language learners. So it is a very, very diverse school, like a lot of the schools that you guys have. Okay. This community, Del City, the school's been around since 1972. It's a relatively older community, very transitional community, more affordable housing, especially for our families that are just arriving to Del City. But in spite of that, in spite of some of those circumstances, we are the highest performing Title I school in Prince William County and one of the highest performing Title I schools in the state. We've been recognized internationally, regionally, and the state, just doing good things. And we're going to share a little bit about what that means. And it's not about a program, right? It's about relationships and it's about people. And that's the whole point of this presentation today, is how do you maximize and leverage academic progress and academic achievement by maximizing the relationships you have in your building. Does that sound something like we might want to talk about today?
Yes.
Then you're in the right place. So our objectives today is we're going to discuss and share challenges and solutions around building family engagement within culturally and linguistically diverse schools. We're going to share resources. Now, we're going to share resources with you. And let me tell you, we're still growing, right? So we're hoping to learn from you as well. We really hope that you guys can learn from each other. So we're going to share resources to assist in the continuing efforts to grow family and community engagement within the school environment. Are we all in agreement that that's what we want to do today? Mm-hmm. And once again, if that's so, you're in the right place. So before we get started with that, I have this, because of vulnerability, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I love eating out. Like, I love going to restaurants. Everything from Chick-fil-A to Bistro Hermitage to Inn at Little Washington. I love it all, right? And to me, the experience, it's not just about the food, it's about the experience, right? So what I want you guys to do is just turn and talk to your tables. I want you to describe your most amazing customer service experience. Now, it could have been in a restaurant, it could have been at Target, right? Wherever, it could be at church, it could have been this morning. Maybe this was the most awesome customer service experience you've ever had. But I just want you to turn and talk and share a little bit about your most amazing customer service experience. It'll take about 4 minutes to do this. Resonated with you about some things that can be done. So we're going to shift our focus just a little bit to just general customer service and customer-centric mindsets in schools to immigrant families specifically. Now, if you come from a school, work at a school that has a large culturally diverse student and family population, this is going to resonate with you. If you're at a school that maybe doesn't necessarily have a large immigrant population, I want you to be ready because they're coming, okay? But I also want you to overlay what we're talking about here with any family that comes in, okay? So imagine a kindergarten mom coming in to a school who's been out of school for a while, maybe didn't have the best experiences, bringing their little kindergarten, their little treasure to the school. They might be considered a cultural survivor. Okay. All right, so I want you, so this is about immigrant families in our schools, but I just want you to make sure that that this can be overlaid with any family coming in. Okay. Just something very important that we want to share about our administrative belief about our parents, okay? Every parent that comes into our school is an asset. Every parent and family that comes into Minnieville Elementary has gifts and talents and skill sets, a treasure of resources that they have to offer. It is incumbent upon us as a staff, through our vision and mission, which is soaring for excellence, and then our mission is commitment to best practices, collaboration in everything we do, and a focus in our community inside the school and our community outside the school. So we live our vision and mission, and we see the families that come in, no matter where they're from, no matter what challenges they have, no matter what their backgrounds or experiences, they all have gifts and experiences. And it's our job to seek out those resources, because our bottom line is student achievement. Your bottom line is student achievement, correct? So you can't do that without having our parents involved. Now, we do know some of our parents and families come from situations and backgrounds and experiences and have huge walls that keep them from being the best they can be. It's our job to find out those strategies, which is what we're going to talk about, how to remove those walls. But if I'm a parent who has recently immigrated here, I don't care how they immigrated here. If you're a parent that's at Minnieville Elementary, okay, you've got a wealth of experiences and a wealth of knowledge that may be a little bit different from a traditional school mindset. How do we start conversations? Maybe that family's not literate in their language, but maybe they're amazing storytellers, right? How do we use that listening, right? For my ESOL friends, my listening and my speaking, how do we incorporate them into that? Maybe we had a conversation one time with a dad. I'm going to share this story. A dad came into the school, not an immigrant father, but he had recently just been released from prison. Okay. So when he scanned his ID, something came up where I couldn't have this gentleman into the school. You guys feel me? You guys know where I'm from? So I had two options to do: kick the guy out or develop a relationship with him. I pulled him back in the office, let him know his situation, told him that, you know what, I can't have you in the school, but tell me what your end game is. He just wants to be a part of what we're doing here, wants to be a part of his kid's life. So I said, all right, you stay here, you can't come to school. I'm going to talk to the teacher. We're going to give you all kinds of work to take home and cut and assemble, and you do what you can at the school, and then we'll be able to start a relationship right there.
And then celebrate that parent.
And celebrate.
You know, take a picture, go to the classroom.
That's right.
Daddy volunteer, you know.
That gentleman was a cultural survivor, wasn't he? Right?
Yeah.
And we had to use that relationship, right? I've had parents that have had horrible experiences, both as kids, right, and as parents. They come here, very transient community, and what do? They, God bless them, they bring those walls up. They're ready for a fight, because they've been agitated and been disenfranchised and marginalized their whole life. And so they come to school and they're ready for that wall. They're ready to put those boxing gloves on and fight. How do we disarm our parents? Starting with the front office.
You have to remember that smiles transcend all languages.
All languages. And I'm going to tell you something about that poster. That poster does not build family engagement. It's a legal requirement, right? It's a legal requirement. But legal requirements and regulations do not build relationships. Y'all hear me?
Right.
Okay? So slapping up a poster in the front office does not build relationships. It's a tool, right? People build relationships. So that's what we look at here. Ms. Cavalcanti, Mr. Wheeler has helped us with great PEP programs. Who has a PEP program in their school? Okay? And they can always be better, can't they? They can always be better, right? So what we want to try to do is look at our immigrant families, specifically our immigrant families, and we're going to really talk about what they have to bring to the table, because every parent has a gift with disadvantage. So our families, the majority of our families do come from Central America. Many are from Honduras and El Salvador, Mexico. Those are the big three from the Latin American countries. We have the largest West African population in Prince William County. So our families come from Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, and Cameroon, I believe. We also have the largest growing population that we have are our Middle Eastern families from the Middle East, refugees, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan. And then a sprinkling in of everything else around the world. But those are our three main demographics. So it is not all Spanish for our cultural, linguistically diverse students. It's a very diverse group of families. A family's perception of school from El Salvador is vastly different from a family's experience from Nigeria. In Nigeria, the national language is English, but they also speak Creole, Twi, French, and several other languages, right? I remember we have a parent here, Monica, I think you remember that. We had, she was from Nigeria, pet class, she said she spoke 5 different languages. Yep. So talk about a cultural asset in a school. We have families that have to go through, any special education teachers? Psychologists? Yep. Families that there is no such thing as special education services in their home country. That is a huge cultural survivor conversation that has to happen. And then you're throwing acronyms and data, and here's your IEP, and here's your parent rights. Sorry, I don't have that in Spanish. You know, it's huge. It's a huge issue that we have. We have students that have experienced significant trauma coming from Syria. So we've had to have conversations about what happens when the fire alarm goes off. That's big. When you hear alarms, and that means something totally different than just walking in a straight line going to school. Okay. So how do you bridge those conversations, and how do you develop that relationship with your families? That's a huge, huge piece. All of these are factors that go into academic achievement, right? Everything has to go back to results, right? But developing those relationships, knowing your customer, having a customer-centric understanding about these differences, about who your cultural survivors are and your cultural leaders are, all goes into your bottom line. So historically kindergarten parents, we found, spend a lot of time because they don't trust anybody. Just like me, I don't trust anybody. My little kindergarten baby, I don't trust you. I'm gonna be in there all the time. Tends to wane when they get to 5th grade, right? Tends to wane a bit when they get to 5th grade. So to answer that question, we look at it holistically, but we also have specific teachers and specific teams that break it down as part of their strategic goal. A SMART goal, just like you would have for your reading or your math, teachers have family engagement goals. Not everybody, but if that's a priority to them, they can quantify and track that data.
You mean their PGP?
In their PGP, yes ma'am. Yes sir.
I think she makes a good point though, so maybe our next step would be take it from volunteer hours to actual volunteers.
Sure, sure.
That's good.
It's kind of like the average in the...
We've evolved. Remember when we did the Volunteer of the Month?
Oh yeah.
So we evolved thinking, oh, well, let's do Volunteer of the Month, put their picture up on the bulletin board, that type of thing. That didn't really work. And for our population, people really didn't like that, so we nixed that program. So we've evolved, and I think depending on your schools, you all will evolve too, based on what's best for you.
Which parents do we have that are cultural leaders in our schools? Because they're the ones that have to do the work, right? Which business partnerships do we utilize? Who knows their business partnerships in their school? Who do you got?
7-Eleven.
Who you got? That's a good one. 7-Eleven? Who you got? You know? Panera?
I think 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven? 7-Eleven's a good one. So we're going to talk about that. And 7-Eleven is not the only business in Del City. How do we know that our parents and students and community, what do they think of us? If you want really good data, we're going to show this. If you're buying a house, right, in a neighborhood, there are certain online sites that will tell you the real data about your school.
Oh, well.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, those are.
Your school's a 3 out of 10.
Yes, right, 3 out of 10. I think we were like, I don't know, 4, I don't know, 5.
That's awful.
I
The
went
Yelp
on
reviews,
Xavier,
right?
so
The
nothing
Yelp
from
reviews.
a 4 or
Great
5.
schools. And how do our efforts with family engagement compare with neighboring schools? Are we working in isolation or are we working in concert, right?
Can I tell my,
Yeah.
what do you offer the businesses? Is there, do you do free advertising?
PR, baby.
Okay.
So much PR. I mean, when Navy Federal came wearing their Navy Federal shirts, man, we were twittering that stuff out, putting it on Facebook. It's awesome.
How many businesses do you all have?
Every year we focus specifically on one special, and it's something different. But we've had everything from Navy Federal, the pediatric dentistries, police
Financial.
financial, pop
So it's
places.
not a lifelong commitment? It's an annual?
No, it's an annual commitment. But we tell everybody all the time, we don't want your money. We want your activism. We want your time. I don't want a dime from these schools, right? Because sometimes that comes with strings attached. I want volunteers, I want time. So we seek out the types of volunteers, businesses that are interested in engagement. So that's what we're looking at. Yeah.
So just to clarify, you operationally define volunteer as any parent that walks into the school and signs in.
Any parent, any community member, any
member.
community agency, we work with churches, we've worked with mosques, we've worked with anyone who is interested in investing in children. It's not just parents. Right?
And those are amongst the hours that you measured.
So we created a family engagement guiding coalition. In most schools that operate as we do in professional learning communities, you might have a language arts guiding coalition, a discipline guiding coalition, a math guiding coalition. We have a family engagement guiding coalition. All right, this is a very important part of our school. Who is on a family engagement team or has a family engagement team at their school? Yes, yes, yes. So if you don't, you are now in charge of your family engagement team. You've just grown to exceeding on your professionalism. Okay? So these were our questions. Do we have a guiding coalition of teachers, parents, students, local businesses to address this specific topic? How do we use data to target specific areas that could be addressed to improve parent-family engagement? Have we created next steps and action items to specifically address these concerns? Have we created a system to track and monitor data to show progress of these efforts? Here's what's amazing. If you were on a mathematics guiding coalition, you would ask those exact same questions. If you were on a history team or social studies team, and you had a team to improve social studies, you would ask those exact same questions. We just overlaid what we did academically with what we're trying to do socially and emotionally. The table I was worried about the most. So very good with that. All right, so let me see everyone's eyeballs. Let me see everyone's knees. At the end of the day, guys, we have an obligation, we have a duty to our parents, don't we? It is about teaching kids. It's all about kids, I get that. But the way to reach our students is through the people that are their first teachers, which are their parents, right? As a school, Minnieville, we believe that it is our duty and obligation to make sure that we are really working to build relationships. We hope that today, sharing what we're trying to do, giving an overview about what customer service looks like and sounds like, what it means to be a cultural survivor, what it means to be a cultural leader. I hope that this information was able to give you some context and just to reevaluate what you're doing as a school. Whether or not your school has a formalized plan or not, doesn't really matter. What matters is, are you willing to go back to your school as a change agent, work side by side with your principal, and be able to try to start having a conversation about next steps? Because as a school, every parent has assets. Every parent is a gift. Just like our children have gifts, our families have gifts. So we hope that this information resonated with you. If you would like to invite Ms. Ellis and myself to your school to do this presentation, we work for coffee.
Good.
So we're all about it. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Please follow us on Twitter. We promise we'll follow you back. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.